Our topics today are Airline to Breathwork, Releasing Emotions, Body, Mind, Energy, Birth Chart Decoding, and Awareness and Intention.
Rambling on, no straight lines. Welcome to my busy mind.
Welcome to episode 26 of Ramblings of a Busy Mind, the podcast. My guest today is Yuen Mery Lo. Yuen is a somatic, I gotta look that up, somatic breathwork practitioner and a wealth energy mentor. And you're using Chinese astrology charts, right? Correct, birth charts.
Using Chinese astrology and specialize in birth chart decoding
Yes.
for my clients.
Explain that. It's a mouthful.
Well, I started my journey in COVID time. I was with Airline for about 20 years, 2 decades, and I loved it. It gave me a lot of freedom and regular income. I'm very, very grateful to it. I really am, from the bottom of my heart. But then in COVID, something cracked in me. And I explored other options because we were laid off. There was no plane in the airport, as we know. We saw all the pictures. It was empty airport everywhere in the world. And I had, I just came across somatic breathwork, and I thought to myself, I am just so kind of like stressed and frustrated, and my childhood wasn't great, and I wanted to do something for myself. I had time at the time. There was no work basically, and we were just given some money for to keep going. That was it, and so I took a course in somatic breathwork for myself, really, Natasha, and I learned a lot because I didn't realize that breathwork was so powerful. I was a really angry person for the longest time in my life, and I was wondering, why am I always angry? Is there something wrong with me? Am I broken? Things like that, having self-doubts. But I keep on working in the corporate world because, you have to keep on living this life, right? So no, the somatic breathwork actually helped me a lot in rediscovering or discovering myself for the first time. I did a lot of release.
Mm-hmm.
Read the breathwork exercise. When the moment is right, the body actually reveals itself. The layer comes off, and what is left is the truth. And there was so much trapped emotions, negative experience that created emotions inside me just got released. It's just like I felt empty, and at the same time felt very peaceful. And I think I screamed quite a few times. I just shook quite a few times. I don't know what I did, but it was a great experience. The body is so savvy, so much wisdom in this body, because whatever is ready to shift it out of my system completely.
Mm-hmm.
And once I learned that I could actually help myself in that way, I told my friends and people who are close to me, and they all wanted to try it out because they said, oh yeah, I want to do this too, I want to get rid of all this anger or frustration or hurt or pain or or betrayal, whatever they're feeling, or shame or sadness or grief or whatever inside them. And they said, I just don't know how to do it. So I have sessions for them, and very powerful. It seems that whatever I was doing something right. because all the cues that I gave them in the session, whether it was in person or online, they just start kind of like, some people cry, some people shouted, some people kind of like hair-free release of emotion. It's hard to describe it to you. You have to, it's an experience. It's not a word language thing. And then after that, I always invite them to share their stories. And they said, they just felt something moved inside them, energy actually, because emotions are energy in motions. And when we have negative experiences from childhood or from even yesterday when someone cut you off the highway, in the car, you have pinned up emotions that you haven't expressed or finished expressing, like anger, frustration, pinned up stress, overwhelmed, it all get released, and it's so wonderful. Not every time, but at the right condition, the body is savvy. The body begins to reveal itself in the sessions and start releasing. And when people tell the story afterwards, they said, "Gosh, I really loved it when you said, well, what are you holding on to? You don't have to hold on to it anymore. You don't have to be right all the time. You can just let yourself go." Therefore, they said, I really needed to hear that, because I've been carrying the load on my shoulders, like all the responsibility that I have about the family, the work, my life, being a responsible person. So that was really an eye-opener for me, for myself, and for the people that I was able to help, my inner circle, my friends and family, and so on and so forth. And then after that, I just started doing it for others as well. Yeah. So other people that I don't know, I just set up my own kind of like a web page and so on. So that was amazing. That was the first part of my journey.
Can you dive deeper into, I know somatic work because I do sonosomatic, which is the vibration and sound of the singing bowls. But
Yeah.
what is somatic breath work? I know breath work, like deep breathing and focus on your breath, but what is the somatic part in the somatic breath work?
Absolutely, Natasha. I love to tell you about it. Basically, what I'm trained in this somatic breathwork course that I did online for about 6 months is that there's a specific kind of structure to how we hold space for a client, whether it's online or in person. And basically, we are doing some breathwork exercise that actually pumps up, activate your nervous system in the flight and survival mode. You know, when you're like in the old days, when people are in the caves and in the forest, they're so afraid to be chased by a tiger. When you're chased by a tiger, in this case, we're in the modern world, but you know, when you're overwhelmed, stressed out, and your cortisol hormone level begins to rise rapidly. Yep. And that's what I mean by flight in survival mode. So we actually activate the nervous system to actually imitate that kind of situation, so that, you know, so we breathe in and out through the mouth, basically. That was the first what they call the clearing round. That was the first round that we do. We do several clearing rounds first. Yeah, to actually activate the nervous system with heavy music as well, beaty music. That helps to actually get the body deliberately into a flight mode, into a survival mode. Why? Because the body then actually moves around there. The things that is stuck begins to move, you know, in the right moment. Yeah, maybe not in the first round, maybe not in the second round, but by the third round of this heavy breathing, as if you've been chased by a tiger behind you. It's not that, I'm a bit dramatic, but you know what I mean, you know. But we
basically you get the lungs, like the upper body pumping.
Yes, that's
and
right.
More blood flow and stuff. Yeah.
Yes,
so that's,
yes.
And that would be the tactile, or the tactile input of out and in, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Heavy breathing. And then then it goes into, it's funny actually, the body, we are using the breath to move, basically. The key is that we're using the breath, a certain breathing exercise of the breath work, to actually move heavy emotions, trapped emotions inside the body. That's the key to it. Now, where does it go to? We don't need to know that. The body is very savvy. It will just go to the place that maybe it's the heart, maybe it's the digestion, maybe intestine, maybe it's the root chakra even, because you know you feel that you don't belong in this world, you don't feel worthy, and that's all to do with the root chakra. So that that breath will just work on your body in whatever areas that you need, you know, and it will actually begin to shift those emotions. That's why I said to you, in the sessions that I have done with people and with myself, we cried a lot, we yell a lot, we feel tinglies in the body, because it's a physiological thing that's happening in the body because of the breathing patterns that we're doing, because of the music that we're using, because the container that we're in is a very safe container we set up, and the body is so savvy that whatever is ready to shift begins to shift because the condition is correct. If you see it's like a chemical reaction.
It's
when the condition
intuitive.
is correct,
It intuitively goes to where it needs to go and where it's ready to release.
absolutely.
That's what I know with mine, because when I do the sound work and people have the sound on them in person, you will only release what they're ready to let go.
Absolutely.
There's no force. You cannot force anybody to release anything that they're not ready to let go of.
You're right, because we do the cubes, we would tell them, what are you holding on to? You don't have to hold on to the world anymore. What are you ready? I mean, we just do the normal cubes, and we give them space. We're just holding a space. We're just holding safe space and creating the right conditions for their body to do the work. We're not magic, but this safe space is what I'm trained to hold. And how to hold this safe space is it's quite important, and it takes training. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't get anybody just doing it with someone else. So we're trained in that, holding a very safe space for anything that's ready to shift. And the body review itself. When the layer comes off, and the more you do it, the more layer comes off. It's like peeling an onion, like the analogy. And then after their release, we do what we call the repatterning. And then we said, okay, now that you've released so much, whatever it is, anger, whatever it is, shame or whatever, or some emotion that related to some negative experience like divorce, moving house, there's really stressful stuff, like someone betrayed you, maybe you got kicked off your house or whatever, anything that happened to you, we don't realize how much this kind of emotions that we stored in our body, even from very long time ago, the body keeps the score. That's the body
absolutely
keeps the score.
100%.
And then we do the repatterning, and we said, what would you like to bring back in? And then some people say, what would you like to bring back in? Now it created space inside you. That's the other key. Once you release something, you have space inside. It's like a computer. You deleted file, you cleaned up, you do a reorganization, you created space, you organize. There's space for new perspective, new insights.
If you're like me, there's space for more mess. That's why I'm chuckling, because I'm very like I can be very not messy, but I tend to hold on to files because I think that might be interesting. That might be something that I have to come back to, and then I never get back to it.
Yeah.
But that's still burnout brain.
Yeah, absolutely. I understand that. But once you created space, the repatterning cubes, one of the cubes that we use, that what would you like to bring back in? In fact, at the beginning of the sessions, we actually set the intention. We set an intention. What would you like to receive from these sessions? And lots of people that I've worked with, they're like, oh, I would love to have more confidence. I love to have more time. I love to know my purpose in life. There was, we set an intention. So when the repatterning comes in the session, I will cue them. I said, what would you like to bring back in? Now that you have released so much, now they've experienced so much, what would you like to bring back in? And they took, I said, bring back in and keep it for yourself, and then put the hands on the heart just to seal it, because the touch of our body actually seal whatever that we are experiencing or saying to ourselves. I said, you can say it, that you seal the intention into your heart. And the heart, Natasha, I'll tell you something, I never realized it. It's such a powerful, it gives you the truth, but it also so powerful. All the 7 chakras, the heart is the center. It connects down to the 3 and then up to the other 3. So it is an amplifier, expands everything. So whatever we feel in our heart, good or not so good, okay?
I have a question for you, because I had an experience years and years ago where I had a client set an intention and I was not intentionally enough to set the boundaries correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And basically what we did was she said she would like to let go, period. Never ever again.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
And what happened during that session was she let go of whatever was stuck in her, but it looked to me in the first moment like she had seizures.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
Because she was releasing so strongly that she was shaking, and only by the biggest grin in her face I could tell that she was okay. But did you ever have that when you're not clear enough in your instruction and ask them to be clear enough in their intention, that something like that happened?
Actually, we set our intentions in the beginning of the session, whether it's group or individual. Okay, so it's group. We ask each person, so what's your intention? One word intention. Some people say confidence, or some people say truth, or whatever. And then we just go through the sessions. To be quite honest, I have seen, because I did it in a yoga studio in a group of about 5 or 6 people, up to 10. I did it once. And so everybody actually is releasing whatever is ready to shift, and shaking and crying and jumping up and down and screaming is really quite normal. So for me, it's nothing strange. I'm used to it, except that it's very powerful when you're in that space with them. And I always have a helper. So that person is actually right next to the person who's releasing a lot of pinned up whatever, helping them, maybe supporting their back, just to let them do their own thing. It's amazing. Yeah, I'm also on the other side of the room helping the others as well. We're just observing, holding space, and really supporting, giving them permission. I think the word permission is very good here, because you're really going in deliberately, giving the body permission to release whatever is ready to shift in your system. Because why? The condition is right. And that is so powerful. So yeah, I had people screaming, I had people crying, I had people really like banging on the floor with their hands like this, shaking all over. I had people in tears, crying, and it's not a pretty sight. But I can tell you something, it's so much better to do on the mat or on the online screen in your own home, which is amazing. That's what online session, breathwork online session is so powerful, because each person is in their own space at home, or in a very nice contained space, and they can do whatever. And the online is as powerful as in person, I can tell you. I didn't realize it, but I thought it might be less powerful. No, as powerful, so long as they're concentrated, so long as they're getting focused on the session, is as powerful. They're different, but they're as powerful. I have people releasing a lot in online session with no problem. And I want to add one caveat, is that it is not guaranteed. It's not saying that you will release tons every time you do it or the first time you do it. The thing is this, your body is ready to shift whatever is ready to come out, and you just don't know. Maybe this session, maybe next session, maybe the first session. Or some people have very little, just smiling or shaking a little bit, a bit of tingly when we ask them, so how did the session go? Oh, it's all tingly over the body. But in fact, their body is released a lot. It's just different people have different expression, and all expressions are welcome. That's what we say. We have like a very structured script that we introduce to people in the presentation. And we always say that whatever expression, you're welcome. Laughing, singing, shouting, banging, crying, whatever. Because the body reacts, everybody's body reacts in different ways. So long as your body is doing its own thing, that's the key. That's the key. And then the best thing about it is that in the repatterning rounds, we bring back in. We bring back in whatever we want, not someone else that want to dump onto you, not the conditioning, I want more love, for example. I want more worthiness, for example. I want more belonging. Lots of people, we want to belong, I never belong to my family, they said. I'm a black sheep. I want to belong. Things like that. And I would just want to add one more point. At first, I did it for myself. Then I did it with people close to me in my inner circle, as it were, friends and family and so on. And then I did it for people that I don't know at all. And the more sessions that I've done, the more I've learned about myself through other people releasing. Can you imagine that? I never thought.
It's very interesting, because any assistance you give to others will always reflect on you. And even the podcast, like doing the podcast for about not quite half a year. We have recorded 26, so half a year, or recordings for half a year. The interesting part in that is every podcast, every guest that I speak with, there's always something that I take home with, that comes back to me, that makes something clear in my history. And it's never that it's just a conversation. It's always a giving and offering, like a sharing of insight, of ideas, of new things, which I love. And that's what I appreciate too with my clients, is that each of them brings something to the table for me.
Yeah,
not
it's
just
amazing.
for them.
I think it becomes a learning experience for myself as a practitioner, as somatic breathwork, which I love doing, and also for the other, the other party, whether it is one person or 3 people or 5 people or 10 people that is in a session with me. It's amazing. And then when we come to share our at the end of it, after the repatterning, I bring them back into their present moment, as it were. There's so many kind of, you can see in the faces, they are so kind of like grateful, appreciative, relaxed, peaceful, or just like a heavy load has been shifted from their heart, maybe from their shoulders. If they feel like, some people always say, I feel like I'm carrying the whole world on my shoulders. I think a lot of us feel that, or some people feel that, their heart is completely blocked and closed because of past hurts, divorce, childhood traumas, or parents divorcing, or themselves divorcing, or whatever, or children that didn't grow up the way they wanted them to grow up to. It's a lot of things. I mean, this life is a mud game.
It's overwhelming, and it's overwhelming in all areas. It doesn't matter what it is. Like I said, I had a conversation with another podcast guest last week. We pre-recorded, and she said she was talking about supplement burnout or supplement fatigue. And basically it came down to that she had so many supplements from her doctor or naturopath that it totally overwhelmed her to take them. There is a crux in that. There is something in that doesn't help really. And I know that the breath work does also release like energetic blocks that we hold on to, energetic tie-ins that hold us back, and that can create the overwhelm, that can create the burnout or enhance the burnout. And when they are gone, it's all of a sudden you sit there and you go like, why was I ever that overwhelmed by this? It's not really, it's not mine, it doesn't belong to me, I don't care about it, and whatever. And it can be so easy to shift stuff. It's really interesting.
It is interesting because I actually did NLP as well, not trained in it, but I had some NLP sessions. I actually also did I also studied Dr. Joe Dispenza as well, and I actually compared this few different system. I think NLP and Dr. Joe Dispenza is rewiring. rewiring our brain, because we're reframing our negative experience, as it were, experience that you really did not enjoy, but it actually left an emotional mark on your body and on your system, basically, and that's what we're talking about. And then the breath work really is not rewiring, it's releasing. So it's a combination of, one of them is rewiring, reframing your whole system, just rewiring your whole system, the brain especially. And the other, the breath work that I was trained in, somatic breath work, which do your body, basically. Somatic is body, basically, physical. And it's actually doing certain exercise, breathing exercise, to move, to release anything that is trapped inside you. Can you imagine? People were saying that the analogy that we used in my training, my teacher always said that it's like this diamond that is covered up on top and on top and on top with layers and layers and layers of dirt. And once the dirt, one layer gone, another layer gone, so on, at the core of it, what is revealed is a diamond. So we are all diamonds before conditionings, before kind of like conditioning from childhood, especially childhood, but from your marriage, from your parents, from your teacher, from your peers, from all kinds of society. And and that's why I said to you that it's really the self, yourself, revealing its truth. It's the self revealing its truth inside you when the layers is off. And how do we achieve that? In somatic breath work, we use the breath to shift it. But in other modalities, like in sound, you use the sound, I suppose, right? Correct? And so on and so forth.
I use sound on the body. So, and you made a very, very clear point in that as NLP and dispenser is mostly brain work, which negates that we have a body, which negates that we store emotion and memory in our body. And when you don't release it out of the body, the brain can do whatever it wants. It will not go away. And that's why I get my people back into the body and focus on where is the energy tying into the body, where does it show up in your body. And with the singing bowls, they are placed on the body and underneath. So you're actually floating on sound, you're surrounded by sound, but you have the vibration going through your body. So you have the physical while we do the clearing up work, right?
I love it. I really do. I mean, that is so true, because I realized that the first thing to do is to actually do something with your body, because that's the first thing. Once you cleaned up all the mess inside, all the wreckage inside, then you can start the second stage, which is rewiring. But to do the rewiring without the cleaning out first, it's like, I'm going to organize my house, in a new way. But it's like, it's shit everywhere, right? Excuse the language. It's like rubbish everywhere. I think what you have to do, excuse me, your audience.
You wanted me to spit out the whole coffee.
Yeah, right? You need to clean up the house before you reorganize. And this is what the great analogy of the two systems. I think that great system. But that is always the first, and then the second, and then the third step. The first step for me.
I find in our world, like it's becoming better. There's more focus on the physical, but it was for a long time. The focus was solely, if it was about growth and becoming more and change, it was always brain and spiritual. Brain and soul. It was never body. It was you gotta grow spiritually, you gotta grow mentally. And nobody had to grow out of the memories stored in their body. And I cannot be just brain, I cannot be just spirit. I have to have it's holistic. It's body, mind, and spirit, or body, mind, and emotion, whatever you want to call it. It's always a threefold. And if you negate one side completely, there is no healing. There is no moving forward, because you're stuck in that part that's missing.
You're absolutely correct. I cannot agree with you more. When I discovered somatic breathwork for myself, I'm not saying that I became a different person, but I definitely feel so much lighter. I don't fight. I don't go for all the fights. I choose my fights, and I became much more malleable, much more flexible in my thinking, in my feeling, in all the events and happenings in my life. I said it's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect, but I'm still enjoying this experience, whatever it is, you know. And I think to myself, as long as I have to wait for that person to arrive before we can hop out, but it's okay. I don't mind waiting. It's all right because the companionship is amazing. You see what I'm saying to you? And
Yeah.
then I'm not rigid anymore like before. Like it has to be did. It's
Which is
just because
your brain basically keeping you in a safe space. It keeps you
yeah.
ordered. It keeps you boxed in and strategically placed where it thinks you're safe.
Yeah.
But that means you're surviving. You're not thriving because you cannot get out of that box. You cannot get
You
out of
cannot
that
grow
pattern straight.
actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, you cannot grow the reptilian brain. I actually have conversation with my own reptilian brain, you know, the third brain. I said, I understand that you're a little bit afraid, but listen, you know, we're gonna do this. It's growth. You're growing. You're extending yourself. Don't worry about it. It'll be
I love
fine.
that.
I mean, I actually talk to my own brain. Can you imagine? Because I know I can visualize. I have three brains. You know, the frontal lobe and the bottom is the reptilian brain and the emotional brain. I
I've
said,
never
listen,
heard anybody talk like that.
I do. I'm actually quite
It's so
extreme.
cool.
I tell you something. I do whatever it takes for me to evolve, to grow, whatever it takes, because I don't want to stay in a box. And funny enough, speaking about staying in a box, the other thing that I do is like the birth energy decoding. I've decoded so many people's birth chart in the Chinese astrology way, and I think to myself, wow, this person has a really powerful engine. She is actually born with a Ferrari, but she's not driving the car like a Ferrari. She's driving it like a tractor. And why is that? You know, and I realized that it's because they're in a box. They are in an absolute box. You know, like they are in a greenhouse, protected by the family, by their husband, by their wife, or whatever. From the family, they go straight into marriage and then have kids. You know, women. And I'm not saying anything wrong with that. It's great. But the thing is that they have never been challenged to get outside the box. So they have always lived inside a greenhouse. Very safe. Absolutely. But your engine is a Ferrari. You're born, according to, I look at your chart, I think to myself, Jesus, you have so many incredible potential. You're born with a powerful engine. But you're driving a tractor on a motorway when you have a Ferrari to drive on the motorway.
I find that very interesting that you say that because I was just wanted to go that way. You did mine, and I personally, it's so funny because money comes in when I need it, but it's never a lot because I'm not running after money.
Okay.
And then you did my birth chart, and what is missing? Money factor. It was so interesting to see that. It's and I think that most people are commonly know like the Westerner astrology charts and whatever, like
The horoscope, the
horoscope.
Capricorns,
Yeah.
Taurus. Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, and the birth chart there, or your day-to-day chart or whatever. And I knew about that. I never knew about a birth chart, a Chinese birth chart. So and it's really interesting when you look at that because yeah, there is something to that because your energies are aligned in a certain way that make you prone for certain things. And if you're missing or lacking that part, then you got to work on that.
Yeah, not only that, actually, Natasha, I was just want to say, not only that, if I can add just a little bit, I actually study both systems, Chinese astrology and Western astrology. I study Western astrology with an amazing, eminent astrologer called Stephen. he doesn't want me to expand his name because he's now in retirement. So, he's extremely prominent in the Western astrology world. I was part of his apprenticeship program, as it were. And really, what Stephen said was evolutionary astrology, which means that every moment of our lives, if we allow ourselves, if we have the right conditions, if we get out of the box, the greenhouse, if we can beat our reptilian brain and said that, I'm going to get it out and I'm going to do this myself, just get out of my way. I know you might think it's dangerous, but I want to grow. If we can do that, we are actually evolving every second. I am not the same person as I was 2 years ago. I'm not the same person as I was 3 months ago. I'm definitely not the same person as I was 10 years ago. You're evolving. I'm evolving. Yep. Because I want myself to evolve. So therefore, I put myself in a situation sometimes that is a little bit uncomfortable and challenging. And I talked to my third brain. I said, don't worry, it's okay. Don't worry, I will take care of you. And it's, danger, 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 danger. It's a flashlight, danger. But the thing is but I don't do it every minute of the day. Obviously, I have my comfort zone. What I'm trying to say is that you've got to get out of your comfort zone in order to grow. That is another aspect of it. And it's really so interesting that you said that your chart, your wealth is missing. But, we have to go to a deeper level on that one. There are ways to fix that. And this is what I'm here for. I decode your chart. And the other thing is that your birth chart is not destiny. No. It's a map. If you follow,
it's a pointer. I would say it's like a folder that has all possibilities. So you can fill them up if they're not there at the moment. But you look at that at birth. This was in my folder, and now it's up to me to put more into that folder.
Yeah,
or take something out.
Yes, your birth chart is a map. It's a path.
Yeah,
and to be quite honest, if you compare the two systems, the Western astrology is very interesting. The horoscope, Capricorn, Taurus, Cancer, Sagittarius, Scorpio, all that. It's very, very good in telling you about your personality and about your true path as well, your path of your life, what you're supposed to do. I mean, that's amazing. That's in my understanding, as I studied it, quite deeply. But the Chinese astrology is a different point of view. The Chinese astrology is actually very good in telling you about timing and alignment of space, your personal space and the space where you do most of your work, your desk and your office and so on, even your home. Because when you align those energy points, like facing direction when you work in the computer, I face north always, for example. And then when I'm making decision, I face east, things like that. Ooh. You're aligning to your magnetic energy direction. That is what I call decoding your birth chart will give you a map of your natural strength. You're aligning to your natural strength on different tasks that you must carry out, like every one of us in our lives. And that is the beauty of it. The two systems are actually very amazing, because I look at the Chinese chart, my own and someone else's, and I look at the Western chart. And for example, in my Western chart, the horoscope, I have a grand trine, what they call a grand trine, an earth grand trine, Capricorn, Virgo, and Taurus, all earth sign. And that gives me a lot of stability, emotional stability, I say. And now I look at my Chinese chart. I'm talking about myself because I know my own chart quite well. And I have a hidden combo. And that is like related to the grand chart. I have my Western chart, but it's interpreted, it's shown up in a different way. So you see what I'm saying to you? So they're related. So I would say that in the Chinese astrology, the birth chart mapping that I do, I really map people's strength and weakness. And I also give them a map, like the directions where they can actually receive better energy from different tasks to face, And I also, if they're like missing element, like wealth or I don't know, fire, invisibility, and so on, I give them some practical tips to actually go straight away. For for example, if it is water, which represents wealth to you, I would say to you that if your wealth is not very strong, therefore you might go live near water, drink lots of water, wear clothes that is watercolor, which is black and white, which you are doing already, instinctively actually, I think. And also
Certain days.
activities that actually helps it. And also, having water fountain in your workplace, etc. That's remedies, that's remedy. That's why. But the first step, I have to say that the first step to talk about remedy without knowing the chart, without having your chart done, how can anybody? It's like you don't know what you have. You go to a doctor. The doctor can't tell you what to do, right? So the first step,
You're fishing in the dark. That's what you do.
you're really fishing in the dark. So first thing, every one of us is born with a very, very unique individual energetic blueprint.
Yeah.
You need to know what your energetic blueprint is. It's nothing physical. It's the field, the energy field, as they call it. But it's energy field is like the glue. It glues everything together. It's not like the gene, not the Levi's gene, the gene that the DNA, but it's the glue, and it's really important.
For me, it's like a pointer or something that helps me see things in a different perspective. Because how often do we get stuck on a certain thing, and we are of the opinion it is like this because our brain goes like it is like that. But if you have more input, and that's what I see the birth charts at, or your daily horoscope, if it's not from the newspaper. Because there's more to horoscopes, and you can have a yearly one done, and still it will give you a pointer for that year where you gotta pay attention, what you can actually ignore, and things that can change if you are aware, but they won't change if you're not. So, and the same thing when pulling cards, like I don't do often readings for others. I like cards in my healing work to pull one as a pointer, and they're always spot on because they always bring an aspect up that we're not thinking about. So they're giving more information. They're giving an option to dive deeper into something that we're not aware of, or that needs to come forward, even so we're aware of, but we're not putting emphasis to it.
Yeah, I think you really hit the nail there. I think awareness is the first step in everything.
Yeah.
I was aware that I have trapped emotions. I was aware that I have trauma, that I've suffered trauma in my youth, in my childhood, and so on and so forth, circumstantial. I'm very much aware because I was angry all the time. I was feeling angry and also, not belonging, that kind of feelings. I was aware of it, and that's why I kind of like seek out. I looked out different ways whereby I could help myself, really, to do something for myself, and that was when I discovered somatic breathwork. And the other thing is that once you're so right, awareness is really the very, very first step. And once people are aware, they realize that they hold so much power in their hands, because then once you're aware, you then look for information, and you get a direction. You see what? And this is exactly what the birth energy mapping is about. It gives you a direction. It's just the first step, because then you realize that you are driving a Ferrari like a tractor, right? Or you're driving a tractor like a Ferrari. You can't change gear.
Yeah, no, you don't want to do that.
You don't want to do that.
It was, for me, it was always interesting having the charts done, because, and I do them once in a while, not all the time, but they always made something clear. Every time I had a chart done and I looked at it, or it was explained to me, like you with the wealth. So then I go, okay, now it makes sense why this happens this way. And then I can change it because now I know the reason why things happen, or I have an idea why something might be blocked. without that, again, I don't have the awareness to do the change, right? To
Yeah,
create.
you have awareness first, and then you have a map. The
Yeah.
map is the path, it's not destiny.
Yeah.
The other thing is that all these modalities we're talking about, whether it's somatic breath work, whether it's birth chart decoding, we are actually bypassing bypassing the conscious mind, going straight into the subconscious.
Yeah.
And that's why when you said you pull a card out and it's always spot on, because I feel that you are actually bypassing this conscious frontal lobe here, and it goes straight to the subconscious. And the subconscious is something that is actually running our lives, the behavior, the habits, the conditioning patterns, that some of them are great, but a lot of them are no longer serve us, and some of them actually detrimental to our lives. Like
I'm not sure if I let's say it this way, it doesn't feel right for me to say that the patterns are subconsciously, because subconsciously for me your whole being would fight against those patterns that don't work. Subconsciously, if you're tuned into your subconsciousness, into your intuition, everything will say no if those patterns come up or somebody tries to enforce those patterns. So I would say the training is the conscious brain, the patterning is the conscious brain that follows those patterns that have been put in place. The subconsciousness and the intuition is your true path, is your true north. It's giving you the exact thing that you need at the exact time. The only thing is we all learned not to listen to it.
Yeah, I guess we getting into really deep water here. How I see is that we have a conscious mind, which is this frontal lobe here, which helps us to do mathematics and do the and go, do the bank stuff, the boring account stuff. And then we have the subconscious, which very often is not, it's actually 95% below the surface, okay? And which governings like driving, automatic, you don't have to think about driving, it's so practiced, it becomes implicit memory, basically. And then the habits and the behavior, how we behave, why I was angry all the time. There's a subconscious triggered reaction, to some external triggers, which is not being cleared out. And now I'm not doing it anymore because that emotion is being cleared out. And then the other thing is that what you were pointing out is that there's also that I'm guided sometimes by what I call the third level of it, which is what I call the super consciousness, or the higher conscious, many people call, or your true self, or a higher aspect of yourself. So therefore I'm thinking to myself, okay, I have an idea. Is this idea coming from my frontal lobe brain, this brain here, conscious brain, or is it coming from my subconscious fear? So that's why I'm feeling this fear in me, not doing this thing that I wanted to do. Or is this idea actually coming from my higher self, what some people call super conscious? So, the other thing is that whenever I do meditation and I go really deep, and it's where I shut off this frontal lobe and I just sit. If I sit long enough, sometimes I get download, and that is download directly, not from the conscious, not from the subconscious, but from a higher consciousness, or your higher self, or your super consciousness, whatever they call it. And I have some amazing breakthroughs to things, solutions to, I don't know, to stuff that I've been working on that I haven't figured out. How am I going to mend this relationship? How I'm going to do this, launch this thing, or whatever, to make it work. And I have downloads, and it's like, and the other thing is like, so that is quite deep water, I think. And the other thing is that I feel that what we're going round and round talking about is that to getting to know yourself at a much deeper level, not on the surface level like the pop culture horoscope, but a much deeper level, knowing in the Western horoscope, your true path. The North Node and the South Node tells you very, very clearly your path. I know my path. My true path is not to be a lone wolf anymore as my, but to get knee deep into partnerships and collaborations. And that is my soul path of this lifetime. I know it because I studied two systems. And the other thing is that the Chinese one, our Chinese horoscope is really to get your act together. Like whatever elements you're missing, do something about it. You have to know what elements you're missing, whether it's wood or fire, whether it's or wealth or water and things like that, and to actually understand your natural energy flow. Your best direction for whatever task you need to do, decision making, working on the desk, meditation, resting, even sleeping, where you put your crown chakra, the head part is very important because you're tapping into, it's quite esoteric, infinite kind of energy. The universe is huge, it's vast.
So the thing
Nobody
is,
knows what it's about, but
the thing is,
I
and
prefer
also
to believe in it.
you can have your view of the world, and I can have my view of the world, and they can be totally different, and still they might work the same way. That's because language and perspective is your own. It's not somebody else's, right?
Absolutely. I really, the more I kind of like, the more I talk about it, the more I do it, the more I feel. I didn't feel that I was capable of doing what I'm doing today, like even just a year, 6 months ago. And now I feel, I think I'm on my path.
So if somebody came and looks for something to get out of their burnout, out of their overwhelm, what would be your tip?
Well, the first thing I would say to you is that let's have some somatic sessions to see whether there's some things inside you that you don't even realize yourself, because a lot of time we don't know really what is inside us. It's ready to shift out of you. Yeah.
Do you have an exercise that you hand out to people to showcase or something like that so they can?
Yeah, I guess I have a daily breathwork MP3 that I posted in my social media channel. Yeah, like Instagram and LinkedIn as well. And basically, it's just a 5-minute exercise that you can do to start feeling your breath, to start getting used to your breath, to start being aware of your breath. Because we breathe without being aware that we're breathing.
Or breathe not without being aware.
Well, I hope not. I certainly hope not. But yeah, so therefore, I would say that, the 5 minutes breathwork exercise you can start doing, that will actually help you set your day up, with good intention, that you're clearing out yesterday's stuff and starting a brand new day. And it's just 5 minutes in the morning. That's it. And that is based on what I've been trained in somatic breathwork. Yeah, that helps.
They can find that in your social media, in your LinkedIn and Instagram.
Yeah, it's actually in my link tree.
Your link tree. Because what we're gonna do is we're gonna post, as always, all the information where people can reach out to you and get to know you in the caption. And if they are interested, they hopefully will reach out to you.
Yeah,
but it's definitely we're down to we're into the hour.
We're down to 2 seconds.
I'd say we leave it here for now. And if anybody's interested in the somatic breathwork or in the birth chart, which I love things like that because it's just more insight into yourself. They can reach out to you and can work with you and go from there. Yeah,
in my link tree, they have all my information there. My Instagram, my LinkedIn, my videos, my journey, my stories, and then there's the somatic breathwork, the 5 minutes daily breathwork exercise they can start with, and then you get in touch with me, and then we'll go from there.
Yes. Thank you so much for being the guest today, and I love to have you here, and we'll see where it leads to, and
Thank you for having me, and I love the color of your backgrounds.
Thank you. I'm not saying that's my only brain cell here, but my brain cell.
Thank you so much. And for anybody who's watching this, I thank your time for being with us. Thank you. And please, you're so worthy. You're so worthy.
Absolutely.
Believe in yourself. You're great. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
See you next time.
See you next time. Bye.
Racing, spinning fast, ideas flow but never last. Waves of wonder, thoughts untamed, nothing ever stays the same. Rambling on, no straight lines, welcome to my busy mind. Ideas fade, all the shine, welcome to my busy mind.